In this video, I tried to paint a Lisa Frank-inspired Space Marine and nothing went to plan. And I had a Technicolored crisis. In the 90s, Lisa Frank was everywhere, and if you were around back then, well, you know. And if you weren't, trust me, it was actually insane. Now, I've been called a lot of things, and some of them I can't say on YouTube. But the big one that keeps coming back is the Lisa Frank of Warhammer, and honestly, I ain't mad. But how does Lisa Frank's art style actually translate into a miniature, especially one whose base setting is the exact opposite of the aesthetic? There's only one way to find out. This scheme's based on Forest the Tiger, so we're using Diabolic Plum, Wicked Pink, Burning Ore, and then we're going into Moonbeam Yellow. And for the transitions, we're going to use 50-50 mixes, but I'll show you that as we go. But back to that first step, Diabolic Plum, and we're going to basically coat everything. Because this is such a wild scheme, we are going to have some wild shadows, and that's why we're using Diabolic Plum. It's already bold, vivid, and jumps straight out at you. The other thing I'm doing here is leaving black in the deepest recesses just to give us some of that detailed definement. Now we're going to jump into Wicked Pink, and this is going to be another hard-lined layer. Just like you saw in the diagram at the beginning, we're going to do these massive blocks and step up in colors. Which means we can go over and get a pretty solid coverage of each section, and we're going to leave some fairly massive stripes of the previous color in there. And because we're working on a leg and a Space Marine in general, which, let's be honest, a Space Marine really is just 12 cylindrical shapes strapped together, we're going to build our volumes towards the front. And that just means we're going to paint the darker colors towards the back, and every time we step up in brightness, we're going to paint a little bit less and move more towards the front of the leg. And now I can show you more of those transitions that we were talking about. What I've done here is create a 50-50 mix between Diabolic Plum and Wicked Pink. And in this context, 50-50 means we're making a color halfway between the other two colors we're using. And with that mix, we're going to paint it down that hard transition and kind of start to blur out the line between those two colors. But here's where it gets interesting, because now we're taking our Burning Ore orange. Now here's the thing, we have jumped into orange on top of that pink, but don't get psyched out. We're still using the exact same steps as we did with the previous colors. We're going to paint in a solid layer that takes up less space than the previous layer, and then the same 50-50 mix. Except this time it's going to be halfway between the orange and the Wicked Pink. And because this can be a little bit tricky, I am going to take the Wicked Pink and just do a couple of glazes just to fade down that transition. When I make a glaze mix, I do it incredibly thin. It takes 3 to 5 passes before you see any kind of color difference. And because we're painting over something that we've already made a transition out of, it's going to be even less noticeable. But that's actually exactly what you want from a glaze, because you want to think of it as blurring the layers. The other reason that I'm glazing over the transition between the orange and the pink transition is because when you glaze pink or magenta over orange, you get a hyper hot saturation. And you might find that you have to go back and forward a little bit, bringing back in either the Wicked Pink or the Diabolic Plum just to smooth out the transitions and make sure everything's kind of even. You can build your layers and paint schemes in steps, but you refine everything by going back and forward between the colors. And finally, we're going to move into that Moonbeam Yellow. And if you're googling around looking for Moonbeam Yellow, it's from the Blanche Masterclass set from the Army Painter. And guess what? We're going to do the exact same steps. We're going to lay down a solid layer before creating a 50-50 transition and still moving towards the front, because now this is our brightest color. Working with yellow can be tricky, but we have a fairly light base and we're going to be doing multiple thin passes. When using colors like yellow that don't typically have a great coverage, you want to work thin and think more towards consistency and smoothness of application instead of just hitting that color straight out. And we're still going to move back and forth between the orange and the yellow to smooth the transition. Now we're going to look at the same exact steps, but doing it on a sphere. And the exact same rules apply to the spheres as does the cylinders. Diabolic Plum's going on first because that's going to be our deepest, darkest color, and then we're going to move into that Wicked Pink. Now with spheres, we're still trying to create a volume because a flat sphere is just a circle. But we don't want just a circle, we want to see some kind of volume and give it some shape. Using the exact same idea as the cylinders, where we wanted the darker colors at the back, and then every time we step up in brightness, we paint a little bit less and move forward. Except with spheres, instead of moving forward, we're also going to be moving up, because the underside of the sphere is going to shadow itself. So now the highlights are going to the front and to the top, which is also going to give us a hard contrast between the purple at the bottom of the sphere and the bright pure yellow that we have at the top of the leg. And now that we've covered both spheres and cylinders, you can finish off the rest of the Space Marine, because that is exactly what these shapes are. The arms and the torso are essentially just cylinders. Things like the kneecaps, the helmet, and the weird balls on the backpack are all cylinders. And for the pauldrons, you got to think of it in two different cases. The spheres on the top, and the rest of it is a cylinder. Before we add the tiger stripes, I noticed that the more I finish off the panels and see the whole thing come together, I can start to see other similar styles that wasn't the original source of inspiration. Everything from the legendary Exodia from Yu-Gi-Oh! To Predator Heat Vision. And honestly, I just like the way it looks. And that got into my head. Did I really want to run the risk of ruining this model? And if I did ruin it, can it be fixed? And if it can't be fixed, could I do it again? And while I have an existential crisis about painting tiger stripes, let's move on to the weapons. For the weapons, I started off with royal blue. Now, this was a pretty obvious pick. We've got a bunch of hot, warm colors on the armor, so we'll move into some cold tones for the weapons and accents. And I'm just going to edge highlight everything. Now, this is actually a pretty wide edge highlight because I have an idea. With such a massive jump in color contrast between the jet black and royal blue, if I do that and then come over with Arctic Gem to highlight inside the highlights, we could make it look like neon. And that's exactly what I did. Now, with edge highlighting, yes, you do want to use the side of your brush as much as you can, but there will always be sections where you'll have to use the tip of your brush. The best advice I can give you is take it slow and make sure your paint's flowing off the brush pretty nicely. With the weapons done, there was no more avoiding the issue, so I made it short and left it up to you guys. Stripes or no stripes? And the outcome was pretty even. I still don't know what to do. I've never really been intimidated by painting before, and when I say intimidated, honestly, I just mean scared. It means I'm scared of painting the weird thing, which is what this channel is all about. But you know what? Fuck it, I'll just paint two. I honestly could not live with myself if we didn't finish this off. We've covered tiger stripes and animal print on the channel before, but we'll have another quick rundown. The brush I'm using here is the Insane Detail brush from the Army Painter, and we're just going to go with straight black. For tiger stripes, I like to somewhat try and mirror the image on either side. But we don't want it perfect, which is really good because I don't think I could perfectly mirror match this. The patterns themselves are basically just little squiggles, and every second one I'm making a Y shape. And then for the middle, we're just creating V's, M's, and or W's, just anything that kind of fills in that space that makes it look semi-symmetrical. We also want a lot of that color and those transitions to show through, so we're going to keep these pretty wide and sparse. And to take it to the next level, I'm going to bring out some pure white and do all of the edge highlights. I usually hate edge highlighting with a burning white passion, but there's a few times that it really is necessary. And honestly, with a scheme like this, which is so incredibly busy and in your face, we need a lot of help kind of defining some detail. And adding all of this white to the model actually lightens the whole piece up. If you didn't want to go quite as intense, I'd probably suggest going to a lighter yellow like a space dust, maybe even an ice yellow. But personally, I love the white. It adds a whole extra dimension, it really pops everything out and gives us maximum contrast and detail poppage. And yeah, I'm also going to do the trim and the crest in white. Before we check out to see how these two miniatures ended up, I just want to say a massive thank you to the Army Painter and InGames for supporting the channel, as well as all of our awesome Patreon members who actively make a difference in my life every single day. And if you want to become a Patreon member, there is a link in the description, or you could just hit like and subscribe and help us fight the algorithm boss. Time for the good bit. Money shot!